Now, the official Suncoast weather with ABC7 meteorologist John Scalzi.
Got a mix of sun and clouds out there. Certainly enough sun to start boosting our temperature to 86 degrees. That's not quite as warm as it was 24 hours ago at this hour. Dew point is at 73, plenty thick enough, and an east wind blows at about 7. The good news is that east wind will probably be with us right straight through any impact that we receive from Matthew. And I say that's probably good news because it'll be an offshore wind, so I don't think we're going to have too much in the way of any flooding problems around here. In fact, it may benefit us in terms of our red tide issues. 85 Wauchula, Arcadia, Myakka, Parrish, Bradenton, and Punta Gorda. We've got 86 degrees at Northport and in Venice, and Inglewood comes in at 85. As does Longboat Key, and of course Sarasota coming in at 86 degrees. There's our trough of low pressure helping to still excite some showers off the eastern seaboard, plus a few here along the northern Gulf waters and down the coastline as well. Like yesterday, I think we're going to see a lot of the area over land, which right now is not seeing showers, kind of fill up with showers and thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon. A lot of the motion will be from east to west, riding on that easterly wind flow. And it is the potential, once again today, to get some pretty heavy rainfall like we saw yesterday. Some places saw 5-inch rainfalls down around Northport and Venice, and there were some pretty good 1-inch rainfalls north of that. So I think we have a chance of seeing that again. A lot of our area rivers are under flood advisories already because of the heavy rain that we've had over the last 4 days in most locations. There's our trough of low pressure, high pressure to the north, a low back to the west, plus a higher high than expected. That is one of the reasons that the high pressure ridge is pushing, nudging, if you will, Matthew, a little closer to the state of Florida in the forecasts. There was an abrupt shift in the cone yesterday at 5 o'clock as some of the computer models pushed it a little bit closer to Florida. And that's why we have the watches up for hurricane and tropical storm. However, this system will probably stay out in open waters. Now, that's a good thing and it's a bad thing. Let me show you the forecast track in just a second. We expect several days of afternoon rains, nothing to do with Matthew. Then it will become on Thursday very breezy around here. That does have something to do with Matthew. And we'll be watching Matthew closely because, of course, any motion closer to the state of Florida would impact us. Currently, I'm going with a forecast that keeps Matthew far enough away from us that it basically kind of dries us out a little bit on Thursday, Friday, and certainly the weekend. Now, that could change dramatically if it gets a little bit closer to us. We'll get a lot more of those rain bands moving through, like they will certainly on the other coast. It's also possible that even though we do stay a little bit drier on those 2 days, we get an isolated shower or thunderstorm through our region as a spinoff from the system. So taking a look at it, our tropical tracker, of course, showing Nicole, one system that is just going to meander out here because of the high pressure ridge that I just showed you to the north, not letting it continue to move, but it will weaken. Our system, Matthew, leaves Cuba, moves out into the Atlantic waters, and all computer models suggest a motion that will be paralleling the Florida coast. It's worse than that. It then starts to turn and parallel the entire United States coast all the way up toward New York. All the computer models kind of agree with that. So most of the heavy winds stay offshore, but the battering wave action all along the eastern seaboard could be pretty bad, and there is the potential for some serious flooding in many locations from Jacksonville all the way up the coast. Well, actually, from south of that, from 7 Mile Bridge, all the way up the coast to New York City. Depends on the track and the intensity of the storm as it emerges. Hurricane Matthew now with 145-mile-an-hour winds on a forecast track that, as I mentioned, takes it pretty close to the southern tip of the state by Thursday at 8 a.m., takes it north of that by Friday at 8 a.m., so that's the time period in which it makes its closest pass by us. Maybe into Friday afternoon, we'll still suffer some of those winds. Wind speeds are up there, and then it moves on. The forecast for wind speeds keeps the heaviest of winds offshore, but certainly we would have to deal, I think, with some breezes around here. As far as the impacts of the storm on us, we're going to cover that in detail in the next half hour. Northeast wind at about 10 knots, becoming northeast at 10 to 15 this evening, and the official Suncoast forecast Shows a couple of wet days, then drying out a little bit, and the weekend looks like it'll be nice so far. Scott?